In Texas, your property taxes aren't going up nearly as much as you think they are. So a lot of y'all are getting notices from the tax appraisal district in Texas. It's usually your county, and if you're like me in Travis County, your taxes went up, your values went up 53% last year. And that's huge. And look, we've all been talking about how the market is going through the roof, and that's great for sellers, not great for buyers. But what they don't talk about is the impact that's going to have on property owners. Now, if you own your home and you're homesteaded, that's okay. Your property tax values can only increase 10% a year. But if you don't, and you're an investor, your property taxes can go to any value, any market value that the county says it's worth. Now, of course, you can go protest your taxes and you can say, no, tax guy, my values aren't that high. And that does work to an extent. But for me, for example, my home practically doubled last year in market value. Now, I'm homesteaded, so it's not a big deal for me. But a lot of people are seeing this market value thing and thinking, oh my gosh, my property taxes went up 53%. That's not true. Your taxes did not go up 53%. That's just bottom line. A lot of people don't realize in Texas that when you get your notice, they use last year's tax rate to tell you what your projected taxes will be this year. And in that measure, they will always go up, and they will always go up by a lot. You'll think to yourself, oh my God, how can I possibly afford this? But what a lot of people don't know, and a lot of realtors don't even want to talk about because they don't know, is that there was a law passed in 2019 called SP2. And what this law says is that if you are taxing somebody, if you're a school district and or a MUD or a city, and you're taxing homeowners and commercial property owners, that from year to year, your gross receipts can't go up by more than 3.5% on existing property. So what that means is if you have 100 homes that are sitting on the ground in 2021, in 2022, the amount of money you get from those properties can only go up by 3.5%. Now, this excludes new homes sales, new construction. So any new construction can be added to that without doing anything. Now, what happens if the taxing group needs to go over that 3.5%? Well, they can raise your taxes by more than 3.5%. But if they do, that triggers an election, and then the electorate has to go and approve it. Now, that's the cap. And what that means is that if you didn't do anything like sell your home last year, buy a new home, that your taxes could actually go down. Now, it takes a minute to explain this, but bear with me and I'll explain how your taxes could go down. So let's pretend there's two homes. There's your home, which you didn't sell, and there's a home next door to you that did sell. And let's, for the sake of argument, say your home is you're both worth $100,000 the year before, and you're at a 2% tax rate. So 2% on $100,000 is $2,000. Each home was paying $2,000 last year, right? Cool. So you didn't sell your home, but things went up in value. The guy next door, his house was worth $100,000, now it's worth $200,000. So the two homes, your home and the other home, are now worth, on the tax rolls, $200,000 for the other home because it's sold, and your home up to market value or 10% cap because you're homesteaded, so $110,000. So you have two homes that are now worth $310,000 for the taxing entity, right? So last year, remember, it was 2%. So last year, the taxing entity got $4,000 between two homes, okay? So if the two homes last year were $4,000 to the taxing entity, they can only increase their net revenue by 3.5%, or their gross revenue, not net. So 4,000 times 1.035, they can only go to 4140. That's the most that they can take without triggering an election, right? So if you didn't sell your house, and your house is now on the tax roll for $110,000, and you have another guy on the tax roll for $200,000 because it's sold, right? And that resets everything. All of a sudden, there's a conundrum. What's the tax rate? Well, if you die, the tax rate went from 2% down to 1.335%. almost in half. So the law says you can't tax one property at a different rate than the next if they're serviced by the same people. So if you're in the same school district, the same MUD, the same city, the same whatever, the house next door to you that's sold and it was $200,000 has to be taxed at the same rate as your house that's 110 on that tax roll. Your house may be worth 200, but it's 110 because you didn't sell and you're capped at the homestead rate. So now you have a new rate of 1.33. So if you take that 1.33548838 is the rate. So if you take that rate times 110,000, you have $1,469. Your $100,000 house, your tax bill last year was $2,000. Now it's $149,469. I think I said it right the first time. Your taxes went down. Not selling, your taxes went down. That's interesting. This is actually happening. It happened to me. I had a property last year that I'm actually an investor in, and my property taxes went down because I didn't sell, and the rest of the values in the area went up. So that's a pretty interesting thing. This is all thanks to the tax bill in 2019. So if you're sitting out there fretting about what your taxes could be, there's still a couple of things you should do. You should protest your taxes or pay somebody to do it. Getting your values down is always, always good. The second thing you should do is you need to look at who taxes you. You have a school district, you have probably a city or a MUD, fire district, maybe a hospital district. Every single one of those groups has a tax rate hearing. It happens usually in August, September, has to be set by October, I believe. So it's going to be in those last 2 months where they have to take the values for the district. So the tax assessor creates the overall value for the whole district, and then he says, this is what the overall value is, and the people at the board of directors for these different entities have to decide how much revenue they need, how much tax income they need from the people, and they can't go over 3.5% without, or an increase of 3.5% without calling an election. So they figure out what their needs are, what they have, and they devise a rate to get what they need based on the values. So as values go up, rates should come down. And all you have to do is make sure your values don't go up as much, and then you win. You could actually have lower taxes. It's an interesting thing that could happen. You want to learn how to fight it? Reach out. Comment below. Do you think I'm wrong? Comment below. I love hearing these things about how I'm wrong. Let me know. Until then, good luck with your taxes.